Welcome to According to Sam, folks. This is episode 310. Thank you for joining me. Hope you guys have had a great weekend. Got a lot to share with you guys today, so let's get right into today's podcast. So we had a big day on the stock market today. Huge day. Huge day. The Dow Jones is back up over 42,000. Gained over 2,000 points, plus 2,000 today. The S&P is up. The NASDAQ is up. Everything's up today. And I want to start with this clip. This is a clip of just a few weeks ago. This is posted today, but this video is a video of Nicole Wallace, MSNBC's Nicole Wallace, just a few weeks ago. And this is just an example. This is the overall reporting on all mainstream media just a few weeks ago was reporting like this. The sky was falling. You were losing all this money in your 401k. Lawrence O'Donnell played the clip of him and the article that he was quoting from the Wall Street Journal. Worst April since 1932. We got 1932 numbers here, folks. The unemployment rate in 1932, Lawrence O'Donnell says in that segment, was 26%. It's 4% today, but it was 26% in 1932. And the Wall Street Journal says worst April in 1932 because of the stock market. And I want you to listen to Nicole Wallace here. This is all the fear mongering that all the media were projecting just a few weeks ago around Trump's trade policy and these tariffs.
The largest man-made disruption to the global economy in recent human history. Markets today resuming their plunge. The Dow down about 1,000 points. The sell-off gaining steam after the White House said goods from China would be subject to a 145% tariff rate. That's higher than what Trump had said yesterday, when he said that rate would be 125%.
Yeah, so it started off, let's remember how we got here. Liberation Day was April 2nd, and now we are about 40 days beyond that. It's March 12th, or May 12th. So over those last 4 or 5 weeks, when Trump initiates the tariffs on the 2nd. I forget what he gave China. I think he started off with something like 30% for China. China retaliated and raised tariffs on American goods. So Trump said, okay, you're going to retaliate on us. So he went up to 125, and then China retaliated on 125 and said 125. So then Trump went up to 145. That's how Trump got to 145, because everyone else, Trump on Liberation Day put tariffs on everyone. China was the only country to retaliate in the manner that they did. I think that the EU did impose a few minor retaliatory moves, but it was all about China. China is the culprit. China is who Trump wanted to force to the negotiating table, which he did. And they started meeting last week in Switzerland, and they decided that they are going to reduce the tariffs. China's reducing their tariffs. The United States reducing our tariffs for 90 days as they negotiate a more permanent deal. And all of this FUD, all this fear mongering that these talking heads on the media were pitching, that was doing nothing but undermining the president of the United States. And that's what they do, because the premise, the media has an agenda, and the agenda of the mainstream media is the same agenda as the Democratic Party. Now, I'm going to get more into these trade deals and what's going on with this in another podcast. But in this podcast, we're still talking about the media. And I'm going to pick up where I left off in the last podcast. And we've been talking about the media, and we've been using the premise that I just stated, the premise that the mainstream media, the media that's owned by a small number of corporations and individuals who own the majority shares in those corporations that corporate media has an agenda, and corporate media's agenda is the same agenda as the Democratic Party. Engineering. I want to focus on this word as we get back into this, because the definition, there's two definitions here for the word engineering. All right. Engineering, the first definition, the branch of science and technology concerned with the design, building, and use of engines, machines, and structures. Now, the second definition is going to relate more to what we're going to talk about today. And the second definition of engineering is the action of working artfully to bring something about. And there's many different types of engineering. You have chemical engineering, civil engineering, computer engineering, structural engineering, environmental engineering. I have a list over here. Nuclear engineering, mechanical engineering. There's all different forms of engineering, but the engineering that I want to focus on today that you need to understand about this engineering is called social engineering. Engineering a society to artfully bring something about. And that's what's been happening in this country for decades. They've been socially engineering our society, our culture, and the tools that they've used to do that. I've told you it's three prongs. It's the public education system, public school system, where your kids from a very early age, pre-K, they want to get them at pre-K. We can start indoctrinating them with secular humanistic ideology, and it starts at grade school from K, even pre-K to 12th grade. And then if you are one of the people that goes into college, into the colleges, and that's the second prong, is where the humanist, secular humanist ideology is reinforced, and liberalism, the point of view that makes you align with the views of the Democratic Party and the views of the media. That's all indoctrinated in and reinforced in the secondary education system in the colleges. And I saw a post. I see these posts every year around this time, around May, when people are graduating and they're having commencements. And I saw one just the other day where it says that I survived 4 years of college and didn't turn into a liberal. I see these posts every year again about around this time. And it's a joking way to say, yeah, that the social engineering didn't work on me, that I made it through grade school and I made it through college. I still have the conservative values that my parents instilled in me, that I made it through 4 years of college and didn't turn into a liberal, because all this liberalism, secular humanism is ingrained into us as a society during our grade school, and then it's reinforced if you go to college. Now, if you don't go to college, it's reinforced in the third prong, the media. The media reinforces the liberal, secular humanist point of view, and the agenda of the Democratic Party is secular, humanist, liberal, if you don't know that. So the media reinforces the agenda of the Democratic Party, because the media is the third prong. And if you don't go to college, you get a healthy dose in grade school, and then you get a healthy dose in the media, and it is targeted social engineering. So we were talking in the last podcast a little bit about the Telecommunications Act, which was signed into law under William Jefferson Clinton in 1996. And this deregulated media. This is the law that allowed, because before this, you can see right here, it says that the 1996 Telecommunications Act, it amended the Communications Act of 1934. So when Bill Clinton comes in, he gets rid of the regulations that dated back to 1934. Not only the media regulations, but if you know what he did and what his finance guys did in deregulating Wall Street. I mean, he got rid of regulations like the Glass-Steagall Act. I mean, he got rid of that. It's just one example of financial regulations that they got rid of. But that's what Bill Clinton did. He came in and he not only deregulated Wall Street, he deregulated media. And this act allowed the ownership of multiple media outlets to be owned by very few people. And it was regulated before. And the reason it was regulated before, because it was important to break. I mean, you go back to like Teddy Roosevelt in the early part of the 20th century, the bust the trust, breaking up Standard Oil. We broke up Alexander Bell. I mean, all of these, big, huge corporations that had monopolies that we understood that these were dangerous monopolies, and we broke them up. Standard Oil and Bell being, two great examples, but there's others. Well, these media companies have huge monopolies. These media companies that own all of our media, and it's owned in very few hands. These are monopolies, and they're dangerous monopolies because these few corporations own all of the messaging. They own the point of view that the society has, because they control the point of view through their social engineering. It's very easy for them to get together. It may be different corporations, but it's very easy for them to get together and decide what the messaging is going to be to social engineer a society. That's why it was regulated, but it was deregulated under Bill Clinton. And then that's when you had the concentration of media ownership. Concentration of media ownership, also known as media consolidation or media convergence, is the process wherein fewer individuals or organizations control share of mass media. So there were tons of opponents of the 1996 deregulation, and everything that they predicted 30 years ago would happen if this law would pass is happening today. Everything that they warned about the consolidation of media ownership, everything that the detractors of this bill warned us about is happening right day because of the concentration of media ownership. It's a huge problem. A huge problem. So these are some of the major corporations. We've talked about them. Disney, of course. Look at all they own. NBC Universal. Look at all they own. Warner Brothers. Look at all this stuff that they own. I mean, these are the majors. Paramount, Fox. It's really only 5 or 6 companies. It really is. Like, I didn't even mention Netflix, because Netflix really only has Netflix and Roku. They don't have very much. But if you understand the story of Netflix actually, the people who founded Netflix, they actually brought the idea that started Netflix to Blockbuster when this guy, Sumner Redstone, he owned Blockbuster. And he passed on Netflix. But if he wouldn't have passed on that, then Blockbuster would be around today and not Netflix. And so, but yeah, this is a huge problem, people. This is a huge problem. And it was brought to you by William Jefferson Clinton. William Jefferson Clinton did so much to merge the federal government with the corporations, and to unleash the corporations. The crash in 2008 happened because of the deregulation under the Clinton administration. He deregulated media, which is very important, because in deregulating media, he allowed these corporations to be able to tell one narrative and to shape the minds of a entire society, without any regulation. He gave them that. And if you remember the quote from Benito Mussolini, who created fascism, says that fascism should rightly be called corporatism because it is the merger of state and corporate power. And no one did more to merge state and corporate power than William Jefferson Clinton. And we're going to get into this in a future podcast, because we're going to talk about when William Jefferson Clinton is his last year in office, the year 2000, when his vice president is running for president, and his vice president is challenged from the left by Ralph Nader. I'm going to show you the things that Ralph Nader was saying about this administration, not from the right, from the left. And Ralph Nader had this huge movement that was challenging Al Gore, and there was an opening. Why was there an opening for Ralph Nader when he ran against Al Gore in 2000? We're going to talk about that in a later podcast. All right, so this was, I played this clip in the last podcast. It's this guy, what's his name again? Clayton Weimers. He is the representative for the Reporters Without Borders here in the United States. And we were talking about this new World Press Freedom Index in the last podcast, and how the United States had lost 2 positions on the index, and the United States is rated problematic. And this is what Clayton Weimer says again. He says that the problem is because of the media ownership, the media cross ownership, and the fact that you have the concentration of media owned in few hands is contributing to the loss of press freedom.
We're also seeing a really heavy concentration of media ownership, which has the eventual effect of restricting how many points of view and voices are out there for people to be able to access. Yeah. Some years ago, more Americans were tuning into journalism to get their information. And so there was a natural constituency of the public to defend journalism, to defend journalists in the face of attacks.
Yes, but so now people aren't getting their information from these corporations because they understand that these corporations do not have their best interests in mind. And that's why you're losing, people are losing a lot of trust, because this is corporate news. And these people that are on these news channels and these shows, no matter what it is, look at this. Castle Rock is what Warner Brothers owns. They own what is that? TGTV. I don't even know what that is. NBC, NBA TV, TBS, TNT. So when you see those talking heads on say NBA TV or TBS, let's use TBS, and the show that, or is it TNT? I think it's TNT. The show with Charles Barkley and Kenny Smith and Shaquille O'Neal, that basketball show. They don't get to say whatever they want on that show. I mean, they do have some leeway in what they can say and joking around, but the corporate executives at Warner Brothers, if they want Shaq and Kenny to say something or to not say something, these guys, all they have to do is send the message down. So these guys, the corporate execs are really the ones that are controlling the content, even on the level of a individual outlet, because of the fact that Warner Brothers execs control all of this media. The Warner Brothers execs are the ones that are responsible. Are we going to talk about this? We're not going to talk about that. That's the way that works, people. And there's no greater evidence of that than this is about 7 years ago when this video came out of the Sinclair. Sinclair was a conservative corporation that owned a lot of local news stations, and the people on the left, this was during President Trump's first administration, people on the left were criticizing the programming on Sinclair Media, saying that it was all scripted and you couldn't trust it because they were given scripts from the corporate execs. These people aren't saying what their opinion is. They're not saying what they want to say. They're saying what the paper says that they're handed. That's what happens. They hand these people a paper and they tell them, read this. Say this. That's how that happens. These people are just talking heads. And this was the Sinclair clip that went around. Now, this was 7 years ago again in the Trump's first administration. And Sinclair, it was a conservative corporation.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But we are concerned about troubling trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false news
has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories true without checking facts first.
It's totally scripted. So it's completely scripted. So it's completely scripted, and the people on the left, the Democratic Party and the Democrats in the media were criticizing Sinclair and saying that, you know, you're manipulating people because this is all local news. This is all scripted, and they're all saying what the corporate execs want them to say, which is true. I mean, this is the way it works. And I want you to listen to some clips of them criticizing Sinclair Media. This is PBS. Take a listen.
Does it matter who owns your local TV station?
Yeah, it matters. It matters. It matters who owns all this media. Not only your local. So she only wants to talk about local, but no, it matters who owns all of this media, all of it.
Are increasingly worried about so-called fake news. They also show that many trust their local news more than other sources. The largest owner of local stations in the country is Sinclair Broadcasting. A viral video of Sinclair news anchors has again raised concerns about the way in which the company mixes news with partisan political opinion.
Like you guys don't do that. Like you guys don't do that. You don't mix news with partisan political opinion. You do that every day. They do it on MSNBC. They do it on CNN. They do it on ABC. They do it on every single news network. They mix news with partisan political opinions because they're all owned by the same people. And they're all owned by the people that have an agenda, and their agenda is the same agenda as the Democratic Party. So, yes, this is not only happening with Sinclair on the local level, lady, it's happening nationally as well.
But he mixes news with partisan political opinion. William Brangham updates his story about the broadcast giant that originally ran last year.
A train derailment in Tennessee.
Some routine road maintenance has led to a squabble.
We have some breaking news to tell you about. This is out of Bethesda tonight.
Night after night, the country's largest owner of local TV stations, the Sinclair Broadcast Group, reaches over a third of homes across the nation.
Compromise plan for the controversial Canisius Inn.
Most of us think of local news as just that, local. Stations run local stories produced and reported by local people. But if recently you tuned in to, say, WVTV, which is Sinclair's station in Milwaukee, you saw this.
Does the president have to repeat that fact?
So I just want to point out that this is PBS. Okay, PBS, they're taking the president of the United States to court right now because he is blocking the government funding from going to these guys. And look at this type of reporting that they're doing. I mean, you're telling me that they do a report like this and reporting on the problem with Sinclair owning all these local news outlets across the nation. They own 1/3 of all of the local stations across the country, that PBS, which is publicly funded, will do a report like this, but you won't do a report, PBS, about nationally, about all this media that Warner Brothers owns and how that's a problem? You don't think that's a problem, that Paramount Global owns all of this different media and the influence that they have on America because of all of this media that they own, but you would do it about Sinclair because it's owned by conservatives? You don't see how biased they are and why their funding should be cut off? Here's another clip about that Sinclair video. This was Brian Stelter on CNN. Take a listen.
Zerwick, you're in Baltimore. Sinclair's based right up the road. What's your impression?
Brian, I've been reporting this story, as you know, since last summer. And, And, my first concern was when they hired Boris Epstein from the Trump White House and made him the chief political analyst, made him a political analyst, and stations were dictated to carry his, what I think of as talking points almost out of the Trump, White House.
Okay, so he's listen to what he's saying. He's saying that, he's criticizing the influence that Sinclair has because Sinclair hired this guy, Boris, from the Trump White House in that sense that, the influence of Boris on the programming that Sinclair puts out there that reaches a third of the households in the country, then they're going to have an influence from the White House. Bro, the head executive at ABC Disney was Kamala Harris's best friend. What's her name? Susan Rice. What does Susan Rice's husband do at ABC? Let me just say, it's just hilarious. I don't even have time to look it up. Seriously, you're telling me that this guy he's going to have influence over the broadcasting that goes out over Sinclair's airwaves, but Kamala Harris's best friend, who is an executive here at Walt Disney, is not going to have a influence over what Disney puts out on all of their different media outlets? These people don't see the problem and the hypocrisy at all. They don't see the problem and the hypocrisy at all. And just like this video of Sinclair, the way they edited it all together and shown how they're using not only talking points, they're using an absolute script here with Sinclair. The same thing's going on mainstream media. They're using talking points and saying the exact same thing. I played one of these in the last podcast, but let's listen to this one. Which one is this one? Meeting the moment. This is meeting the moment.
The strength that we have is in this moment.
Listen to your constituents. Center them in this moment.
But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment.
I think about what's happening, in this moment.
What's important is that we meet this moment.
So are these current Democrats the ones to meet the moment?
So what I want you to understand is that there had to be a talking point or something that went out in this moment. But what you see going on here, you see AOC, who is a politician. You see Presley, who is a politician. You see Crockett, who is a Democrat politician. You see Wes Moore, who is a Democrat governor. You see a Democrat senator here. And then you see the NBC or CNN anchor using the same talking points. So the talking points didn't just go out to all of the Democrat candidates. They go out to CNN anchors as well, that they're using the phrase in this moment. Where does that come from? There's going to be another one down here, Simone Sanders, using the same talking point. Did she get the talking points as well? Why are they she's using the exact same talking points as the politicians, the CNN anchor, the MSNBC anchor. Same talking points.
The strength that we have is in this moment.
Listen to your constituents. Center them in this moment.
But I can tell you that there are a lot of people that are watching his leadership in this moment. This is the moment.
I think about what's happening, in this moment.
What's important is that we meet this moment.
So are these current Democrats the ones to meet the moment?
What do you want to see us doing right now in this moment?
And which Democrats are actually going to stand up against Elon Musk and Donald Trump
in this moment?
The fight that you all are exhibiting is not just what the base wants, but it's what this moment requires.
It's in this moment.
The strength that we have is.
And then here's another one. Okay, which one is this? Oh, no one is above the law. This is after they arrest Trump on those phony charges. And then you got what you got. You have news anchor. This is Anderson Cooper, and news anchor. You have what's her name? Rachel Maddow, news anchor from the Clinton administration, George Stephanopoulos, and then everyone down here are the Democrat politicians. They all have the same talking point.
No one is above the law.
Nobody's above the law.
No person is above the law.
No one 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 is above the law.
You're not above the law. You're not an elite.
Same talking point. Same talking point. And again, this is the one we played last week. This is escalation. The word escalation. This is a talking point. They all got the escalation. Yeah. You see PBS here. You see Rachel Maddow here. There's no politicians on this. These are all news anchors. They're all using the same talking point.
We begin tonight with the escalation in the president's crackdown on illegal immigration.
Today's dramatic escalation in the Trump administration's conflict with judges.
The Trump administration signaling a major escalation in its deportation efforts.
Today, an escalation in the Trump administration's battle with the judiciary.
Tensions between local and federal authorities over President Trump's immigration crackdown escalated today.
We begin this hour with a major escalation of the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration.
We begin with what appears to be a major escalation in the Trump administration's deportation efforts.
And what is a major escalation in the battle here in D.C. over immigration and deportation.
This feels like an insane and reckless escalation from the Trump administration.
So they're all talking about the exact same issue, and they all see it as an escalation. All of them. They all see it as an escalation? Or is somebody giving them the paper to read that's got escalation on it? They don't even have the choice. Just like Sinclair's talking heads don't have the choice on what they say. They have to read what the executives at Sinclair tell them to read. Are these guys doing the same thing? Are they getting paper, a piece of paper from on high and telling them to see this as an escalation? Or do they all just happen to see it as an escalation at the same time? What's more probable? So, we talked a little bit about this guy, a moment ago, Sumner Redstone. Sumner Redstone, he was the founder of National Amusements is actually the name of his corporation, but then National Amusement moved to purchase Viacom, and then they merged Viacom with CBS. His company is Paramount Global. Paramount Global owns CBS television network. They own that so look at this. Look at this joint venture. So this is CBS in a joint venture with a totally a different corporation, but in a joint venture with Warner Brothers. CBS Sports Network, Showtime, they own BET. I remember when Sumner Redstone bought BET, you could, if you watched BET, Black Entertainment Television, which was started by a black family, and all of the programming was targeted at a black audience, and it was, I mean, when Sumner Redstone bought BET, there was a blatant change in the programming. You could see the programming getting a little bit more liberal, a little bit more a little bit more woke. The messaging that they were presenting. Same thing with CMT, country music television. So the same Redstone family. And who's Redstone? Redstone, his actual name. Let's see. It shows here where his father changed their name. Rothstein. In 1940, at Sumner's behest, his father changed the family surname from Rothstein, which means Redstein, to Redstone. Sumner Redstone, his daughter now, they manage the programming for BET and for country music television. And when the Rothstein Redstone family bought CMT, if you were watching country music television at that time, you noticed that the programming became a little bit more liberal, became a little bit more woke when they bought it. Comedy Central, he owns that. So all of this is part. This is just the video part of their empire. I mean, they own so much. Nickelodeon, MTV. So all of this is part of the Paramount Global, which is under the umbrella of Sumner Redstone's National Amusements. National Amusements is his company that he left to his daughter. I'm going to read a little bit of this. Sumner Redstone Rothstein was American billionaire, businessman, mega, what is that? Mega or media, magnet, media magnet. I don't know. He was founder and chairman of the second incarnation of Viacom, chairman of CBS Corporation. Anyway, I have this clip about Sumner Redstone. Just want you to watch a little bit about him. He's dead now, and his daughter, Sherry, runs the company.
He's the media titan who coined the phrase, "content is king." Sumner Redstone was born in 1923 in Boston. He went to Harvard Law, and during World War II, worked as a codebreaker for the U.S. Army. In 1954, he left a lucrative law career to work for his dad's movie theater chain. He built a handful of drive-ins into a conglomerate, adding another term to the lexicon, multiplex. Then he used his movie theater fortune to create an empire, buying Viacom, Paramount, and CBS. MTV, Comedy Central, Nickelodeon, they're among the marquee brands that Sumner controls and exemplify his lifelong philosophy. Distribution matters, but content is king.
Content is king.
Will change my fundamental faith in the primacy of content.
So that is a little bit about Sumner Redstone. Sumner Redstone benefited greatly from the 1996 Telecommunications Act that Bill Clinton signed. And, he did some huge mergers that would not have been allowed if the deregulation wouldn't have happened with the 1996 Telecommunications Act. That brings us to today and what's going on with 60 Minutes and the Paramount company, the corporation that Sumner left to his daughter. Now, this was just 2 weeks ago. This was how 60 Minutes signed off on their program. I think it was 2 Sundays ago. Take a listen.
In tonight's Last Minute, a note on Bill Owens, who until this past week was executive producer of 60 Minutes. He was our boss. Bill was with CBS News nearly 40 years, 26 years at 60 Minutes. He covered the world, covered combat, the White House. His was a quest to open minds, not close them. If you've ever worked hard for a boss because you admired him, then you understand what we've enjoyed here. Bill resigned Tuesday. It was hard on him and hard on us, but he did it for us and you. Stories we pursued for 57 years are often controversial. Lately, the Israel-Gaza war and the Trump administration. Bill made sure they were accurate and fair. He was tough that way.
No, it wasn't accurate and it wasn't fair at all. So this is them signing off, again, 2 Sundays ago. Bill Owens, who's a longtime executive producer of 60 Minutes, resigned. And the reason that he resigned, he's going to say here, let's just listen to him tell the story about why Bill is resigning.
And controversial. Lately, the Israel-Gaza war and the Trump administration. Bill made sure they were accurate and fair. He was tough that way. But our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger.
So our parent company, Paramount, is trying to complete a merger. Okay, so we're going to get further into this merger in a moment. I have another clip. But understand what they're saying here on 60 Minutes is exactly what I was telling you. And the problem is people see this, like the clip that I'm getting ready to play for you after this here in a moment, they're going to blame it on Trump. That it's Trump's fault that this is happening because Trump administration has to approve this merger for Paramount to merge with Skydance, and Trump is suing CBS, and He's threatening not to approve this. So he's got the leverage over Paramount, and Paramount is reaching down into CBS, which is one of the outlets that they own, and they're forcing Paramount executives to tell CBS what their programming is going to be. That's the complaint that CBS, that 60 Minutes is making, is that the reason that our longtime executive producer, who we all love, the reason he's resigning is because the execs over at Paramount Global is they're reaching down into our programming, telling us what to program, because Trump and the Trump administration have leverage over them because they want to complete another merger and merge with Skydance. That's the case that he's making. Okay. Let's listen to a little bit more of this.
Complete a merger. The Trump administration must approve it. Paramount began to supervise our content in new ways.
So in new ways. Paramount began to supervise our content. That's not so he's not complaining about the fact that Paramount is supervising their content like they always do, that Paramount Global is supervising our content. He's complaining. He says they begin to supervise our content in new ways. In new ways, huh?
Prove it. Paramount began to supervise our content in new ways. None of our stories has been blocked, but Bill felt he lost the independence that honest journalism requires. No one here is happy about it.
Honest journalism.
But in resigning, Bill proved one thing. He was the right person to lead 60 Minutes all along.
Yeah, whatever. He's grandstanding. And Paramount executives have been controlling your content for years. And the only reason you're getting mad now and the only reason he's walking out is because he's a die-in-the-wool Democrat and he wants to be able to rig the programming against Donald Trump the way that they did. And I'm going to show you that they did here in a moment. But this is Jake Tapper reporting on Bill Owens stepping down there at 60 Minutes. Take a listen.
The executive producer of CBS News 60 Minutes, Bill Owens, resigned today. Now, normally that would probably not be news that we would bring you, except the circumstances rise to the level of, well, alarm.
This guy's
Owens
such a
said
clown,
in a letter
man.
to his staff that, quote, over the past months, it has become clear that I would not be allowed to run the show as I have always run it, to make independent decisions based on what was right for 60 Minutes, right for the audience, unquote. And the context here is key, because President Trump has been suing CBS News and its parent company, Paramount Global, for $20 billion for what the president calls, quote, unlawful and illegal behavior, unquote, though his accusations, according to legal experts, do not withstand scrutiny.
His accusations, according to legal experts, do not withstand scrutiny. Then why isn't the judge throwing it out if it doesn't withstand scrutiny? What are you talking about? Why would you even report that? Because Jake Tapper is a complete propagandist. And the problem is not that Donald Trump is suing them for their very dishonest reporting, which we're going to look at here in a moment, is that they're very dishonest reporting. And he's suing them, and they're not the only ones. I remember CNN got sued by Nick Sandmann again for their very dishonest reporting. That's what needs to happen. People need to continue to sue these guys, and Trump has every right to sue them. And if the lawsuit that Trump was filing was not valid, the judges would just throw it out. I don't need to hear that from you, Jake Tapper. But the problem is not, these people do not see their nose right in front of their face, because the problem is not that Trump it has the ability to stop this merger, which he should. He should stop the merger, because that's the real problem. The problem is the merger. The problem is the concentration of media. The problem that is not that Trump has the ability to stop this merger and that Trump is suing Paramount Global. The problem is that Paramount Global controls all of this media and controls all of the narratives on all of this media, and that Paramount Global has the power and the control to control what they say on on 60 Minutes on a nightly basis. That what you're hearing on 60 Minutes on a nightly basis is not coming from 60 Minutes. It's coming from Paramount Global. That's where the message is coming from Paramount Global. That's the problem. It's not President Trump, Jake Tapper. Oh, I don't even want to show you that because we're going to get into that here in a moment. But here's more of Jake Tapper. Take a listen.
CBS News and its parent company, Paramount Global, for $20 billion for what the president calls, quote, unlawful and illegal behavior, unquote, though his accusations, according to legal experts, do not withstand scrutiny. This is what happened. Last fall, 60 Minutes interviewed Vice President Harris. President Trump declined the show's offer to sit down with them for an interview. During the Harris interview.
So let's talk about what Jake Tapper just said. So 60 Minutes, years going back during a presidential year, they've had a tradition. I don't know how many years it goes back, but they do a major primetime interview with both candidates, the candidate from the Democratic Party and the candidate for the Republican Party. Now, Donald Trump did this interview and sat down with CBS in 2016 when he ran against Hillary Clinton, and then when he ran against Joe Biden for re-election, then he sat down with them again. They did a very unfair interview with him in 2016 when he ran against Hillary Clinton, and then in 2020, that's when Hunter Biden's laptop came out. Before the election, and everybody wanted to hide it. Everybody was trying to hide it. They were censoring people off the internet, saying that this was fake, that this was Russian disinformation. You had the former CIA directors, all those guys saying that it was Russian disinformation and all this stuff. And this is what CBS did in that interview that he did in 2020 with Leslie Stahl. Take a look.
You know, this is 60 Minutes. And we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie.
Why don't you verify it? Why don't you verify it, Leslie? Have you done anything to verify it? No, they haven't done anything to verify it. And these clowns are talking about, our executive producer has so much integrity that Paramount Corporation started to put new controls over our programming. What? This is the kind of programming that the guy put out before, and it was all fine.
And we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, I think it's one of the biggest scandals I've ever seen, and you don't cover it. You want to talk about?
Well, because it can't be verified.
You want to talk about insignificant things.
They're talking about the Hunter Biden laptop that was used in evidence to convict him. That CBS News refused to report on it because it couldn't be verified.
You want to talk about?
Well, because it can't be verified.
You want to talk about insignificant things.
I'm telling you.
Of course, it can be verified. Excuse me. They found the laptop, Leslie.
Can't be verified.
Can't be verified.
The laptop.
Can't be verified.
Even the family hasn't. The family on the laptop. He's gone into hiding. For 5 days, he's gone into hiding.
He's preparing for your debate.
Oh, it's taken him 5 days to prepare? I doubt it. Okay. The media is fake. And frankly, if I didn't have social media, I'd have no way of getting out my voice.
Absolutely. If we didn't have alternative media and social media, they would have buried you in 2016. They would have buried you again in 2020, even though we know what happened in 2020, and they would have buried you in 2024. So that was the interaction that he had with Leslie Stahl. He did the 60 Minutes interview in 2016, very unfair. 2020, very unfair. So he says in 2024, I'm not doing it. I'm not sitting down with CBS anymore. But Kamala Harris decided to sit down. And again, the mainstream media has an agenda. Their agenda is the same agenda as the Democratic Party. And I'm going to show you what they did in the interview with Kamala Harris. But that's the root cause of the lawsuit that Donald Trump has with Paramount Global and 60 Minutes.
Legal experts do not withstand scrutiny. This is what happened. Last fall, 60 Minutes interviewed Vice President Harris. President Trump declined the show's offer to sit down with them for an interview. During the Harris interview, 60 Minutes correspondent Bill Whitaker asked the then sitting vice president why Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was not apparently listening to the Biden administration. Now, a preview of her answer ran in a preview clip on CBS's Face the Nation on Sunday morning.
All right, let me show you. Oh, is he going to show it here?
The work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
The next day, however, 60 Minutes ran this answer when it ran the actual edited interview.
We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Now, CBS News explained the
So I want you to notice what they did. They cut off. This video actually shows it a little bit better. I mean, they cut everything that she said in that answer. They just cut it out. They cut it out. And what Jake Tapper is going to say, well, we all do this. You know, this is something that we all do. Well, why do you guys do that? What's the purpose of doing that? Here, watch this.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region.
She says absolutely nothing. She says absolutely nothing. What she says is just completely. It's no wonder that they cut it out. It's no wonder that they don't. If they support Kamala Harris in this election, you don't want the voters to see that. That's the last thing you want to. And if you guys don't remember when Kamala Harris became the nominee, they were hiding her from the media. She was refusing to do any interviews with anybody. They didn't want to show people this. They didn't want to show her mumble jumble. Using words and not even knowing what they mean. What are you talking about, lady? And so they cut that out. They cut it out, and this is the answer.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
I mean, that is a totally different answer. Totally different answer than the mumbo jumbo that they cut out. And they cut it out for a purpose. And they cut it out because they are trying to deceive their viewers. I mean, just like the fine people hoax that they stop when Trump says that there are fine people on both sides, but if they let the tape play a little bit longer, then you would see President Trump saying, and I'm not talking about neo-Nazis because they should be condemned totally, neo-Nazis and white supremacists. He says that's the very next thing, but they edit it to cut it so you don't hear, and I'm not talking about neo-Nazis and white supremacists because they should be condemned. Same thing when Trump, his speech that he gave on the mall on January 6th, he says that I want you to be peaceful and patriotic. They play everything that he says up until I want you to be peaceful and patriotic, and they cut it off. So that's what CBS was doing, 60 Minutes was doing, and they're trying to act like they're all, above reproach. And now that Paramount is trying to control what we do, then I'm going to resign. Yeah, you guys are clowns. You guys, completely biased reporting in favor of Democratic candidates, in favor of the narratives that Democrats want to project. But Jake Tapper says we all do this. Not only with 60 Minutes, and he's going to bring up an example with Trump and Fox, and I'm not saying Fox is any better. I don't believe that the Fox Corporation is any better than Paramount Corporation or the Disney Corporation. I believe they're all the same. But Fox does it, so that means that we all do it, that we edit interviews. We edit what people are saying to shape the narrative that we want to shape. It doesn't make it any better because you all do it, Jake.
When it ran the actual edited interview.
We are not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Now, CBS News explained the discrepancy, saying that they merely ran two different parts from the same longer answer, and under pressure, they revealed.
Under pressure.
That is indeed what.
Under pressure. They did it under pressure. These people lie so much. Shut up, Jake. What are you talking about under pressure?
CBS News explained the discrepancy, saying that they merely ran two different parts from the same longer answer, and under pressure, they revealed their transcript, and that is indeed what they did, as frankly happens all the time, including with President Trump.
We all do it.
Taped interviews.
Happens all the time. We all do it.
Just for instance, in June of 2024, this ran on Fox.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
Definitive, firm, yes, I would. But, as Semaphore noted at the time, the full unedited version featured Trump sounding far less definitive.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less.
Yeah, they probably. So this is wrong of Fox. Fox shouldn't have done this. Fox should have shown the less definitive version, because that would have manages the people's expectations. Now these people are expecting Donald Trump to come in and immediately declassify these Epstein files, which are never going to be declassified, folks. We're getting ready to get in this as we close up today's podcast, but you're never going to see the Epstein files, and there's a reason why. And it would have been more beneficial to the viewers for us to see the less definitive, true version of what Trump said, rather than the version that's edited to make it seem more definitive. And the fact that again, Jake Tapper, the fact that Fox News does this doesn't make this any better. Doesn't make this better. Fox is wrong for doing it. You're wrong for doing it. 60 Minutes is wrong for doing it. When you edit down a piece of tape to cut out what the person is saying and to shape a narrative, that is media manipulation.
Less definitive.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
All right.
I guess I would. I think that less so, because, you don't know it. You don't want to affect people's lives if it's phony stuff in there, because there's a lot of phony stuff with that whole world.
Wow.
The president alleges that editing the 60 Minutes interview and running two different answers to the same question helped Vice President Harris and amounted to electoral fraud. In reality, this is just editorial discretion.
Editorial discretion.
Recorded interviews, including.
It's done all the time. Editorial discretion. It's done all the time. Who controls that? Who controls that editorial discretion? Who's in charge of that? Who's in charge of that editorial discretion, Jake? When you guys do it over at CNN, when they do it at CBS, when they do it at ABC, editorial discretion. We don't want the editorial discretion. This is why people don't trust you.
The president alleges that editing the 60 Minutes interview and running two different answers to the same question helped Vice President Harris and amounted to electoral fraud. In reality, this is just editorial discretion. Editors do it all the time with recorded interviews, including
do it all the time.
All the time with taped interviews.
All the time.
Trump
all the time. We do it. We do it all the time. All the time. We do it all the time. We do it all the time. Is what Tapper is saying. And he thinks that makes it better. Doesn't make it better, Jake. It doesn't make it better. So there's no more clear example going back to the Epstein files and why you're not going to see the Epstein files. The reason why you're not going to see the Epstein files because there's very, very powerful people from all over the world in those Epstein files. Very, very powerful people who do not want you to see their names on this Epstein client list. People that are part of the British royal family. People that are part of the financial and political and business elite here in the United States and all over the world. Powerful people. This is why I laugh at people like Stephanie Rule, who played in the last podcast, where she says that the media is so important, journalists are so important because we hold powerful people accountable. It's a lie. They said the same thing during the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The sassy queen who was the keynote speaker from NBC. He says, no, we do a service for the people. We hold powerful people accountable. How can you believe that they hold powerful people accountable and they're about information when they let them keep Julian Assange in prison for years for doing nothing more than informing the public about the corruption of powerful people. These people don't care. These people are in the pocket of the powerful elite. The powerful elite hire them to shape the narrative because the powerful elite are the ones who own these corporations, and the corporation owns and manages what these people say. They control what they say. They can't say what they want to say. They have to say what the corporation says. And there's no better example of that than this story of Amy Robach of ABC. And she had done all the reporting, the journalistic work to get the story on Epstein, and it was blocked by her executives. Take a listen.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts.
Virginia Roberts is the one who she just committed suicide, if you believe that. Virginia Roberts is the one that they accused Prince Andrew of the British royal family and said that she was forced to have sex with him when she was 17 years old. That's who Virginia Robertson is, and she just committed suicide. That's the story that Amy Robach says that she had before any of this came out in the press, before any of this became a big story, before Epstein was arrested, before he committed suicide, all of that. She had the story 3 years before that. ABC would not let her put it on. The Disney Corporation would not let her put it on.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story.
Listen, access to Kate. ABC wanted access to Kate and Will. We were so afraid that if we tell the story about Chris Andrew, we're not going to have access to Kate and Will. Oh my God.
We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton.
She should have stayed in hiding because she just committed suicide. This woman was in hiding for 12 years, like she says here in this report. And she just committed suicide. And she says, we had Clinton.
Hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton.
We had Clinton. Everything. We had everything.
I tried for 3 years to get it on to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it. I'm so pissed right now. Like every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago saying.
So she doesn't know, Amy Robach doesn't know that she's being recorded. She's just having a conversation there in the studio before she's going on. And she gets recorded. And I'm going to show you how these corporations work together. These corporations all work together to shape the same narrative in their social engineering. And that's the benefit of having all of this media controlled by very few people, is that they can get together and they can work together. So Robach worked for ABC, Disney Corporation, Walt Disney Corporation. She didn't know that she's being recorded, and she's being recorded by another producer who takes this tape and then leaks the tape to Project Veritas. Now, this producer that worked for ABC and got the tape, this tape that Stephanie or Amy Robach didn't know that she's being recorded. So this producer gets this recording and then she leaks it to Project Veritas. But then that producer quits and leaves ABC and goes and works for CBS over here at Paramount Global. So she's working at Paramount Global when this video of Amy Robach is released and made public through Project Veritas of them covering up the Epstein story. And then take a listen. Take a listen to this.
It was unbelievable.
ABC's Amy Robach visibly frustrated, discussing an interview she got with an alleged victim of accused sexual predator Jeffrey Epstein 3 years ago that never aired.
She had pictures, she had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out.
Robach, who did not know she was being recorded, suggests in a video released to the conservative activist group Project Veritas that ABC didn't want to upset the royal family since allegations involved Prince Andrew.
First of all, I was told, who's Jeffrey Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways.
The incident, not an isolated one. Ronan Farrow details in his book Catch and Kill how during his tenure at NBC, top executives ordered him to stop reporting on accusations against movie mogul Harvey Weinstein.
Top executives ordered him. Top executives ordered him not to report.
That story never aired, but his piece in The New Yorker went on to win a Pulitzer Prize. Regarding the stories about Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, both NBC and ABC maintain the reporting did not rise to the level of their journalistic standards.
So it didn't rise. So that it didn't rise to the level of their journalistic standards, but they all reported on the Blasey Ford allegations on Brett Kavanaugh when there was no evidence at all, no evidence to support that. That rose to their standards, but this didn't rise to their standards. Okay.
Regarding the stories about Harvey Weinstein and Jeffrey Epstein, both NBC and ABC maintain the reporting did not rise to the level of their journalistic standards. These are
you have no standards
after all, and if proven false, could be detrimental to the accused and to the news networks that air them.
These TV stations are run for a profit, and while we think of them as a public trust, they also have a bottom line they answer to.
Journalism professor.
So what happens when that bottom line and journalistic ethics, when they conflict with one another? What happens in that circumstance? What are they more loyal to? Are they more loyal to their journalistic ethics, or they're more loyal to their bottom line? And if you don't know the answer to that question, I can't help you.
They also have a bottom line they answer to.
Journalism professor Mark Feldstein raises concerns about ABC's actions since the video went viral, apparently contacting the new employer of the person who leaked the video, who's reportedly now been fired.
All right, so you see what happened? So the reporter or producer from ABC quits ABC, goes over to work for CBS. ABC Disney contacts their friends over at Paramount CBS, and they get the producer fired that leaked the video about Amy saying that she had all the information 3 years before the story broke on Epstein. We had Clinton, we had everybody, is what she said. So that's the way that works. I hope you guys have a great week, and I'll see you guys on Friday.